First word that comes to mind when I say Sherlock Season 4, Episode 3, The Final Problem. Go.
Over? ?
Over? ? Okay. And mine is intense. Was so intense. My heart was pounding. Literally the entire episode. Like from the point where the little girl wakes up on the plane at the very beginning to like the very end when John and Sherlock are running out of Rathbone Place. Like, so the way I see it, this episode was good, right? But okay, it's complicated. So if that was the end of the show, I'm not satisfied, right? But if that was just like the season finale of season 4, and they're going to continue, and like, then I'm fine with it. I'm fine with that being canon, and I'm fine with that like influencing events moving forward. But as far as that being the final episode, it's not gonna cut it for me because it just wasn't good enough in my opinion. The show deserves better, and deserves a better ending.
And I'm sure if that was the ending, they would have made sure it was as good as it could be. I mean, both the creators wrote it, so I don't know how they can...
That seemed like the episode's main problem, though, was that they couldn't decide whether or not they were ending it. You know, because everyone wants to keep going. Everyone wants to make another season. They're all just way too busy. The episode couldn't make up its mind whether or not it was the final episode, which was confusing at times. The 3 things that can be expanded upon in future seasons, if they do happen, there are only 3, which is weird. The emotional and sexual tension between Sherlock and Molly, now that they've both said the words "I love you" to each other, right? Irene Adler, the fact that she's still alive. Thank God we didn't see her in that episode.
The fact that she's alive is the untied...
It's a cliffhanger.
It's the thread that's not been...
Yeah. And towards the very, very end of the episode, during the montage showing John and Sherlock in 221B, like, tending to all these different clients, there's one little tidbit of Sherlock texting someone saying, "You know where to find me." And that could have just been part of the montage. He could have been phoning Lestrade, who we see later in that montage. He could have been phoning Molly, who we see later in that montage. But that's something that we could see more of, whoever he was texting at that moment.
I really enjoyed Euros as a bad guy for the lying detective, but I feel like she seemed more clever in that one to me, even though...
She did.
And more of a threat. I mean, I know it seems like she should be quite a threat since she locked, like, the 3 of the smartest and bravest people in the show in a room and made them do whatever she wanted, but she seemed more in control rather than clever in that.
I would have loved to see a Euros, Mycroft, and Sherlock deduction off, you know? The only point in the entire episode where we saw any science of deduction was when Sherlock was trying to decide which of the 3 brothers had
and the coffin.
Shot the victim. Yeah, and the coffin. But over the course of this show, they've developed these tools for showing you when Sherlock is making a deduction, and whether it's words floating in the air or just zooming in close on an article of clothing. But they didn't really do that very much during the entire episode.
And John literally says at the beginning of the episode, "Does she have it too?" Mycroft says, "Have what?" And John says, "The deduction thing." And Mycroft says apparently she has it more than anybody else in the universe.
Yeah.
But we didn't get to see that in action, which is too bad. The reason she was a threat was because of how smart she was.
Yeah. Well, the reason she was a threat was because she was all brain, no heart. Like, she had no emotional context for anything. She had no connection emotionally to anyone except perhaps Moriarty, which is something that could have been expanded upon. It would have been amazing if we'd seen Euros and Moriarty have
Evil
like
couple.
Exactly, have like a romantic relationship together. That would have been like gold. That would have been amazing. There were so many things that they could have done, including what was it we were saying last night about Victor, the boy, right? Who is revealed to have been Redbeard. That was a crazy, creepy plot twist. It was horrifying to think of this little girl drowning this boy, right? But they could have made the whole Redbeard is a person storyline even better if he had been Euros's twin brother. Just think about that, because they would have been able to bring back the whole why do people always stop at 3 thing, you know, why is there something comforting about the number 3? Sherlock says that in The Lying Detective. They could have played with that, as well as the whole running joke about how it's never twins. Moffat and Gatiss have said in an interview that the best part about that episode for them, and I agree with this, is the fact that Sherlock proves that he's the strongest of his siblings. He's stronger than Mycroft, and he's stronger than Euros. And not because he's smarter. He's not smarter. They're both smarter than he is. But it's because of his heart, and it's because of his emotional attachment to the people in his life. That's what makes him stronger. Well, not just to Redbeard, to John and to Molly.
Well,
and
evidently,
to Mrs. Hudson.
Redbeard was Sherlock's emotional connection to the universe, really. Evidently,
in a way, yeah.
Mycroft had no feelings about, like, anyone.
Yeah. Which begs the question, why didn't Mycroft end up like Euros? He didn't have any friends, either. He doesn't enjoy human company.
I think it was that she felt less emotions, and apparently she didn't really feel pain. He felt...
It might have been because she desired that kind of thing, you know.
Pain?
No. Well, yes, kind of, yeah. Emotional pain, you know. She desired to have emotional connection and context, and
but she couldn't feel love, apparently.
Yeah, because no one gave it to her. You know, no one taught her how. There were lots of small moments in the entire episode that were really good, that were, like, enjoyable to watch. One of them being the moment when we realized that there is no glass in Euros's cell. But I thought that was really well shot, that was really well planned out and well executed. And it was shocking, too. In your face, kind of, oh my goodness, like, she's right there and she can touch him. It was scary. And another moment that was fun was Mrs. Hudson listening to heavy metal music while vacuuming.
I'm glad we got to see that.
Yeah.
Although I really don't understand why they did the whole grenade on the drone thing.
Yeah, that was
Why
weird.
would she try to kill them unless she wanted them to escape? But then that didn't...
I know, yeah,
Unless she was just trying to prove to Mycroft that she was there, but why not do something that wasn't explode them? Because she evidently wanted them alive.
Yes, exactly. She tranquilized John, which proves that she wants them alive for some
But
reason.
then apparently...
Of course, because she wants to play the game with them that she's been planning for 5 years. Mm-hmm. So why risk it all in a moment
when they could all...
When you've been working on this plan for 5 years and have all these recorded video messages of Jim Moriarty... Why would you risk blowing them all up?
I know. Did she want John the whole time?
Yes, because she wanted to make Sherlock choose between John and Mycroft. That was a good moment, too, when Mycroft attempted to get Sherlock to shoot him over John. That was heartbreaking, and, like, it makes you love Mycroft. Because he sees that, even though he can't understand emotional attachment to someone, he still sees John and Sherlock's friendship, and he understands that's
more important.
Exactly, that may very well be worth
It's definitely
saving.
Stronger than Sherlock and Mycroft's friendship.
That's true. That Molly Sherlock scene, my goodness. I mean, we personally love Sherlock and Molly together. I think they're adorable together.
I definitely think that Sherlock feels something towards her. Otherwise, why would it be so hard to say I love you to her?
He was able to propose to Janine without, like, any faltering. Like, that was such an act. He was buried so deep in the fact that he cared nothing for Janine that it was so easy for him to propose
that was also
her.
for a case.
Exactly, yeah. But the fact that he found it hard to say the words, "I love you," to Molly shows that he does feel something towards her. There were multiple moments in the episode that were very reminiscent of moments from Lost.
Yes.
Lost is the best television show ever. It is our favorite TV show.
Ever.
It is beyond phenomenal. And don't you dare say a single word against the finale, otherwise I will strangle you. I love the finale. So yeah, there were multiple things that were a lot like Lost. Like the fact
Number
that
one, the episode started with an eye opening.
I know, that was like...
on a plane that was about to crash.
Such a Lost thing, the eye opening. Also the fact that Sherlock smashed Molly's coffin.
Although he kind of won up to Jack Shepherd a bit there.
Yeah, Jack, when he smashes the coffin in Lost, he uses a big stick. But Sherlock just went at it with his fists. That's actually another thing that shows us that Sherlock definitely has feelings for Molly, is the fact that he smashed the coffin. You know, it hurt him so much to do that to her.
And then learn that he did it for nothing.
Exactly, to make her go through that. And he knew that... Like, think about how far Sherlock has come as a character. It really is... It's great character development over the course of these 4 seasons. At the very beginning of the show, he doesn't care a fig for Molly, and he doesn't even recognize that she's flirting with him. He brushes her off all the time. He says the most horrible things to her. The fact that he goes from not caring at all about Molly to like really hating himself for having to put her through something like that, and to like, he could tell that she thought he was making fun of her. That's something Sherlock would never have picked up on in the past. He would have just gone with it.
Yeah. And Mycroft's relationship with Lady Smallwood, I don't know if that's actually going to be a thing, but that was very much mirroring the first time that Molly asked out Sherlock.
I really am not sure that Mycroft is straight. I don't think he is.
You know?
Well, for one thing, he did play Lady Bracknell in The Importance of Being Earnest. That was hilarious, by the way. I would love to see that. Mycroft playing Lady Bracknell in Ernest.
But when Molly first asked out Sherlock, she said, "Do you want coffee? Do you want to go for coffee?" And Sherlock says,
"Yes, thank you. Black, 2 sugars. I'll be upstairs."
Then Mycroft, when Lady Smallwood says, "Maybe we could get a drink," and he says, "Of what?"
I know.
Mycroft. Same.
Such a Mycroft thing to say.
Or a Holmes thing to say, apparently.
Yeah, there's only been one main character death this season, and that's Mary.
And it was the beginning of the season.
Mark Gatiss and Stephen Moffat have said that the Sherlock Molly puzzle was actually added in at the very last minute, and that they originally had a completely different puzzle. It still had to do with a coffin, but everyone hated it. Like, the cast and the crew would not allow that scene to be in the episode, so they had to change it.
And so supposedly somebody died.
Yeah, and
possibly Mrs. Hudson.
It seems like it could have been Mrs. Hudson.
It could have been that the flat was rigged with explosives. They were going to kill off Mrs. Hudson, but so they had moved the flat exploding to the earlier part with
that's a good point. Killing off Mrs. Hudson was probably on their minds. What with she got a surprising amount of screen time this season. What with the car, and
they wrapped up a lot
driving Sherlock to the therapist's house in her fancy car, and kidnapping him at gunpoint. It was really fun to watch her do that, but you got the feeling that they were giving her that screen time because they were going to kill her off. You can almost always tell when they're going to kill a character off, because you end up seeing a lot more of them in preceding episodes. I'm very, very glad that Moriarty was dead. It would have, like, let's be honest, it would have detracted so much from his character. But think about, like, the confrontation scene on the rooftop, right? And how it culminates with Moriarty shooting himself in the face, forcing Sherlock to jump off a building. It didn't end with a big cliffhanger, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yes, almost every single season has ended with a cliffhanger. The DVD with Mary at the end is probably the biggest plot hole. How did she get that to them? I want to know. Well, I mean, it doesn't really matter, because
she had an accomplice. Or she's still alive.
Why? That's my only question. Why? We could have just seen the rest of the original video. It didn't need to be a new one. It was weird. Mary has her moments. Like the bit where she tricks John and Sherlock into going off and having a case. Oh, I loved her at that point. That was so fun. But then once they added in the whole assassin thing, I was just like, Molly... I feel like Molly might be a stronger character than Mary was.
I mean, the fact
Mary
that...
didn't have very much. She was kind of two-dimensional. In an attempt to flesh out her character, they gave her a big, important backstory. Mm-hmm. And sometimes a backstory isn't enough. She needed to be written differently or something. They could, and the backstory just wasn't working at times. I'm still not entirely sure why Mary as a character didn't work. I think Amanda Abington was amazing. She was really funny and sweet, and like she was fun to watch as Mary. Just like the character of Mary, there was something lacking, and they obviously they couldn't find any way to fix it, so they just ended up killing her off, which I think is kind of a shame. But I mean, if it was necessary to keep the show moving forward and to make it good, then okay.
I actually really enjoyed the character of Mary, but not Rosamund Mary. Mary Watson over Rosamund Mary, just because. But that's
a good point, actually. That in an attempt to flesh out her character, they kind of clogged her up a little bit. She could have been a really great character, just being Mary Watson.
I think that when she's killed, that's fine that they killed her off. It freed up a lot more of the rest of the storyline.
Freed it up, yeah, that's a good way of saying it.
Because she clogged a bunch of stuff and messed up some of their cases.
In a way, she kind of got in the way of the Sherlock-John relationship. And I don't mean romantically.
It would have been more meaningful or heartbreaking and powerful if she was killed by someone more relevant. The first episode of season 4 didn't have that like secretary lady, she didn't have anything to do with anything else. It was just that one episode, her shining moment. Yeah. She tries to shoot Sherlock, and Mary jumps in the way.
Even though Moriarty was dead, I feel like the video messages played over the speakers and the screens, like inside all of Sherrinford, gave him like a kind of otherworldly power. It was scary. No other Sherlock villain has been as entertaining as Jim Moriarty. So seeing him again, like, as this looming presence during the whole final problem was... I thought it was cool.
I think they could have taken more time to explain how John was not killed. Literally, the end of The Lying Detective was... Bang, I shoot John.
John's shot, and then...
The next episode, John just walks out and he's like, it was a tranquilizer at the end. Well, why would she tranquilize him and then, like...
Where did he wake up?
Let him go, yeah.
Did he wake up in the therapist's office? Did she...
She just brought him to his flat?
I don't know what that was about.
But so they could have taken more time to explain the John thing in place of the whole, Mycroft sword fighting a clown.
I love
the fact that his umbrella is a sword and a gun.
That was awesome. That was like the idea that when John
Sherlock
first
knew about it.
I know, right?
That he took out the magazine of the gun.
Just the thought of when John first meets Mycroft in that very first episode, like the idea that Mycroft might have actually had a sword concealed inside of that umbrella the whole time is so funny.
And what happens if he pulls the trigger when it's in an umbrella form?
Oh yeah.
Well, thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to comment below with your thoughts on that episode. And whether or not you think they're going to make another series, another season. Subscribe, share this video with your friends and family.
Hit that thumbs up button.
And don't forget to tell your enemies that we are awesome.